We get the best of both worlds. The fastest reflexes modern technology has to offer, onboard computer-assisted memory, and a lifetime of on-the-street law enforcement programming. It is my great pleasure to present to you Robocop. This guy is really good.
He's not a guy, he's a machine.
Dun, 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 dun. All right, part man, part machine, all cop. We're going to talk about Robocop today. And no, not this new one, the original, the 1987 classic. And by God, is it an 80s movie, but it's awesome. So just to go over the storyline real quick. Well, so it was released in 1987, directed by Dutch director Peter Verhoeven, starring like Peter Weller, Kurtwood Smith, Ronnie Cox, Michael, I always say his name wrong, Fuhrer, Nancy Owen. So Peter Weller plays Robocop or Alex Murphy. Nancy Owen plays Ann Lewis, his partner. Kurtwood Smith plays Clarence Boddicker, pretty much crime lord in
cop killer.
The movie takes place in Detroit. Ronnie Cox plays
a board member.
Board member Dick Jones, VP of OCP, the big mega corporation in the movie. Michael Fuhrer plays Bob Morton, the guy who creates Robocop.
Yep.
He's also a VP, but I want to say a junior VP who kind of gets asked to the big board meeting,
right?
Or at the movie, and he's kind of this up and coming, and that's there's a plot involving that because he gets killed later by Dick Jones because he's pretty much competed with him
for different
projects, for different
kind of police enforcement.
Yeah, because there's crimes running rampant in Detroit.
Yeah, OCP basically owns the cops in this.
Yeah, they're pretty much running the cops because the cops are in debt up to their nose.
Right.
And that's actually a theme throughout the whole series about, the city is in so much debt and their OCP is trying to build a new Detroit.
Right.
That's supposed to be safer and better. So just a really shallow, basic plot here because you should see the movie. And I don't want to give away too much details, but basically Peter Weller is a cop. He gets transferred to a new district in Detroit. Cops are dying left and right. Crime's rampant. It's in the nearest future. Pretty much dies. And Bob Morton has this plan for a cybernetic cop. Ronnie Cox, or the Dick Jones, is trying to push his version of Ed 209, which is completely robotic, just big, almost like a tank on two legs.
Yep.
And Bob Morton, and that kind of has some setbacks. And one of the junior execs gets killed during the demonstration, so that gives Bob Morton the chance to propose his cybernetic cop, Robocop, and pretty much the next cop that dies volunteers.
All right.
And that happens to be Alex Murphy, and he becomes Robocop. And throughout the whole movie, he's kind of his humanity starts creeping back into it, and this may seem a little cliche, but at the end he kind of finds himself again. Even a little spoiler in that. It's very much the Ghost of the Machine. So I'm just gonna say it. I love this movie. It's definitely a 10 out of 10 for me. It's got some great special effects. It's definitely got an 80s feel. I like it because it has a bunch of practical effects. It uses a lot of stop motion capture.
Yep, animation.
Which is kind of acting on its own, and I forget the name of the guy who did it, but he deserves a lot of credit because there's a lot of stop motion, especially anywhere Ed 209's used. That's mostly stop animation, and it's got very much has a life of its own. I just really like this movie because it's dark. It's got a lot of dark humor, but it's it's about this guy, the ghost in the machine, and he kind of finds himself again.
Resolution.
Because in the movie his program gets wiped, or his memories get wiped, but they start reasserting themselves, and it's just a good movie. Great music, very catchy theme. Bum 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 bum. And this is one of those movies I remember watching at the babysitter's when I probably shouldn't have. Like when I was 6, this scene was acceptable to her. And this movie has been noted for being very gruesome, very violent.
Oh yeah.
And I think it actually got an X rating because, like I said, the junior board member gets shot up by the 209. It's very violent. But by today's standards, it's not that, wouldn't seem that violent. And then the way Alex Murphy dies is very violent too.
Gets his limbs basically shot up.
Yeah, he gets his arm blown off, and then he finally gets, because he's standing there and they shoot at him, and they shoot off pretty much until he falls.
Falls and they keep shooting.
Oh, they shoot off his arm. Yeah, before he falls even. And then they're surprised he's still alive, and then they put one in his head, and he's done for.
Yeah.
And it's it's one of those movies I watched it probably when I was too young, forgot about it, and then somehow in college I watched it again. I'm like, oh yeah, I love this movie, and as you can see, I have 3 copies of it now. And we'll talk about those a little bit later. You want to talk about some of your memories, your thoughts on it?
I remember watching it at the babysitters. I didn't remember it being that violent.
But it was.
Yeah. Well, yeah, not until I watched it when you started, getting back into it, I guess. Then I realized, holy shit, this was way more violent than I remember. I don't remember anything about 2.
Yeah.
3 I saw on TV, like parts of TV.
2 is considered not very, not as good as 1.
Right.
That's why Peter Weller didn't come back to do the 3rd one. Number 3, they tried to make it more family friendly and try to cash in on it one more time, and it didn't do well. The only thing interesting it did is it killed off Ann Lewis, the Nancy Allen character, which Ann Lewis, she's kind of the first ones to recognize in Robocop that, something like Alex still exists.
Well,
and she, in a small way,
that is Alex.
Yeah, she realizes it is Alex, her old partner.
With the gun spinning.
Yeah, the gun spinning, and in a way, she almost encourages humanity to come back. Murphy, pretty much, to, him to reemerge. And, at the movie, at the beginning of the movies, it's all, I'm Robocop,
right.
And then at the end, call me Alex.
Old Detroit has a cancer. Cancer is crime.
Let the woman go. You are under arrest.
You better back up, pal!
Your move, creep.
So let's just talk about quick. And part of the reason we're reviewing this now is because the new Robocop movie's coming out. I don't think it's going to be very good. But to me, this movie is a masterpiece. Well, masterpiece may be going a little far. It's not like the definitive movie that everyone loves. But to me, it's a very good movie.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great, great, great movie. I like it. So let's talk about what I got here. I have the 20th anniversary edition. It comes in a nice steel case, brushed steel, very nice. I love this version of the movie. It's got these nice discs with the artwork. It's got him with the helmet on, with it off. You can see the bullet shot. It's actually got an insert, which is pretty much a dying thing these days to have any kind of insert that isn't trying to sell you something.
Right.
It's got these nice scenes behind here, and then it's in a clear case so you can see them, which is good. It's like they took a clear case and they put this brushed steel on it. And there's Robocop, and then there's Ed 209. Very nice. To me, it's the definitive version. And then, I can show them the discs. This actually has, so like I said, this movie originally got an X rating, which is very bad. It means it wouldn't probably show in a lot of theaters, and a lot of people wouldn't go to it, so they changed a minute and they toned down those two very violent scenes, which, like I said today, are pretty, not that violent anymore, because in today's world it'd be probably blood spattered all over, much more gruesome and realistic. Yeah, so this actually has both versions, the theatrical and then the director's cut, the unedited, his initial version. And like I said, he only had to change a minute of footage. So, it's very satirical, very dark. And then I bought this because I wanted it on Blu-ray. And I knew going into this when I bought it that this wouldn't be very good. And as you can see, it's got a printed version of what this is. And I knew it wasn't very good, and like the transfer just wasn't very good. They didn't do what they did for this one. They put a lot of work into cleaning this up, color correcting, cleaning up the footage. This, they just pretty much took it in whatever state they had and dumped it on to Blu-ray. Yeah, you get the higher resolution, which is nice at times, but it's not as good as it could be. And almost no bonus features, whereas this has a lot of bonus features. And it's, it's interesting because it talks about how they did some of the practical effects. And then today, which I guess I can't unwrap it now, but at Best Buy for $8, Cameron found this, and if you look at it, the wrapper, it says newly remastered. So I haven't watched this yet, but I'm hoping this is a superior transfer. It looks like it has most of the same bonus features as this one does.
With a new Q&A.
Yeah, with even some new features. Some different ones. I'm not sure if it has all of the old ones. I'll have to watch it and maybe let you guys know. What else do you want to say about this movie? I guess the one thing to talk about is, there was 3 movies. 2 wasn't as good as the first one. It's basically about them trying to make a Robocop 2, and they had all these failures, and then there's this big drug boss going around, and he dies, and they find out he has the perfect brain pattern for a new Robocop, and the one lady controls him because he's addicted to this drug. She gives him Nuke when he obeys. Nuke's the drug in this. And they kind of say the way Alex Murphy worked was just a fluke. That it worked, that he was, a Catholic man with strong moral convictions and dedication.
He was a cop through and through.
Through and through, and that's the only reason he worked as a Robocop. Because you can see in Robocop 2, a lot of them, one of the replacement Robocops that they make ends up shooting themselves. And this kind of has, Robocop 2 kind of has the other up-and-coming executive, because the lady in that one is kind of this up-and-coming, and she kind of gets the ear of the old man.
Right.
And then, to make this Robocop 2, because the guy who creates Robocop dies in the first one. And then 3, like I said, is kid-friendly. I think I've only seen it once or twice.
Yeah, it has a PG-13 rating.
Pretty much OCP's in the gutter. This Japanese company buys them, or is trying to buy them.
Yep. And
they have a Japanese robot. Don't even bother. It's not. Just watch it to see you've watched it if you're a diehard fan. And then
jetpack and a sword in that one.
Jetpack, yeah. Like I said, the only thing really interesting, kind of from a character standpoint, is, and it's definitely very much more the Alex Murphy, very much more has reemerged, and it's played by a different actor though. And I don't really fault the actor for anything. It's just more kid friendly. But like I said, Ann Lewis, his partner, dies fairly early in the movie, and I don't remember if that's just because she didn't want to be in any possible sequels or what. But it should be interesting to note that Peter Verhoeven is, at least in this movie, is kind of notorious for taking actors and kind of changing their image. Because Ronnie Cox was very much a good guy, kind of like the daddy kind of portrayal on TV and stuff.
Right.
And they make him into a villain.
And he becomes a villain.
Nancy Allen had kind of played these characters of kind of these floozy young girls, and they kind of make her a hardened cop. So Yeah. And I know a few other things we said in the other version of this was we don't like that they have this recycling thing. The plastic's at least harder. We don't like having these because you can accidentally punch a hole through it. You know. But this one's at least a thicker plastic, whereas this one's thinner.
Yep.
I'll take it out. Yeah, the disc is kind of unremarkable. And you can definitely tell they're trying to make it look more like the new Robocop material.
Yeah,
making it darker and having this red line through the title.
yeah, if you can compare it to this version or even this version.
Because I think in his new one, the visor's red.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to see, but you can see the Robocop, new Robocop movie logo. So,
yeah.
anyways, maybe we'll just include a picture of it.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They changed the print. I don't like that. I like this.
Robot.
I like that font, but yeah. I hope the quality's good, and I hope the bonus features are good. But they're definitely, this is, not all that unheard of, but they're basically trying to make the old one have the look and feel of the new one as much as possible. Anything else you want to say about this?
Favorite line?
Bitches leave. Or, can you fly, Bobby? It's got a lot of great one-liners. Or, I would buy that for $1.
They can fix anything.
I like that one. They'll fix you. They can fix anything. Because Anne Lewis gets shot and she's crawling. Yeah, there's some gruesome deaths in this movie. The one guy who gets like the chemical on him, his skin starts falling.
They'll say
So.
So.
Anything else you want to say? Favorite scene?
The instant public, where he's driving off. Or you want to talk about the end where you're fired music?
Yeah, well, what about it?
Well, I just know in the first review, or first...
So there's, so you find out pretty much Ronnie Cox, or Dick Jones, is actually arming Clarence Boddicker, the big crime boss, because, to keep the violence up, OCP keeps getting these contracts, and his Ed 209 program can sell, and he's, Dick Jones, I think, wants to run OCP eventually, because the old man, he's old and he's not going to be around forever.
Right.
But he hates Bob Morton for creating Robocop, and he calls it a bastard, this bastard creation. And he sneaks like prime directive. Is it directive?
I want to say it's a directive.
A classified directive into Robocop that he doesn't even know about. That says he can't act against a member of OCP.
The creator doesn't know about.
Right, the creator doesn't know, but Robocop doesn't even know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if he knows because they ask him to list them, and it says the fourth one, classified.
Right.
And you find out when Robocop finds out that it's Dick Jones is the one kind of pulling the strings. He tries to go and arrest him, and he can't, and he starts to shut down. And I think that's actually where the Alex Murphy character starts to reemerge, because he's kind of able to fight the program and the command to shut down, and he makes this very clawed retreat. And then he 6 Ed 209, and I think, once his focus kind of changes on not trying to arrest Dick Jones and survive against the Ed 209, he's able to fight Ed 209 a little bit better. But by then he takes so much damage, and he has to retreat, and he, basically escapes by going down the stairs.
Which Ed 209 can't.
Which Ed 209 can't, and that's where I talk about the stop motion. It's great, because you see a scene where the Ed 209 is trying to put his little foot feeler down to try to see if he can't go down the stairs, and, and he tries anyways, and he tumbles down the stairs in Robocop. And then even the cops have orders from OCP, from Dick Jones, to take out Robocop. So even the cops are shooting him. So really, everyone's trying to take him out, and he's really on his own. Luckily, Anne Lewis, his partner, when he was still alive, finds him and takes him out to this industrial pit, where he kind of regains of his strength, and she helps him recalibrate his
Sensor or gun.
gun aiming.
Yep.
Yep. And then the villains come after him. Dick Jones sends Clarence and his gang to take him out because they want to get rid of him. And Robocop ends up prevailing, and then he goes and confronts Dick Jones at OCP, and the only way he's able to kill him is because the old man fires him. Because he shows proof of what Dick Jones did, a confession, because he actually recorded this confession. Yeah, where did he get the footage from?
When he first tries to arrest him, right?
Yes, when he first tries to arrest Robocop, he pretty much confesses. So, and he plays that back.
What are your prime directives?
You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney.
What is this shit?
Anything you say may be used against you.
He's a cyborg, you idiot. He recorded every word you said. You're dead. We killed you. His memory's admissible as evidence.
Anything else you want to say?
I mean, you're definitely more into it than I would.
It's one of my all-time favorite movies. Is there anything else much to say? I would recommend seeing it. I'm skeptical about the new Robocop movie, basically because his suit looked good at first. It looked like an updated version, but then they painted it black,
Right.
and it just looks like Batman. Originally it looked like an updated version of this, with a red visor
Like his
instead of black.
his test steel version or something.
And I think they definitely make it more. In this one, there's like nothing of him left, really, just a brain. And I even remember in college going on the Robocop forums and debating whether his face was still organic, the original face, or whether it was fake. And there's arguments that, he takes all this damage and nothing happens to his face. And then there's the argument that the only reason they used his face is because if you were to look in the mirror and see what he really was, or nothing, that what's left of his brain the human part wouldn't be able to deal with it.
And there's an argument about the bullet hole, right?
Yeah.
Which
my argument was you can see the bullet hole, but someone said that's just recreated because I don't know. I don't know exactly why. I think it's debatable whether that's still his real face. Because I remember there's the one scene, we managed to save the right arm. He's like, I thought we were going full body prosthetic. And they chop it off and they give him 2 robotic arms. I don't know. So where was I going with that?
we talk about the new one.
Yeah, so the new one, he's black. It looks like he's more, instead of getting ambushed, because they infiltrate in the original movie. They pretty much get killed because they're trying to sneak into his clowns, the bad guys' warehouse where they're hiding out, and they go in without backup, and Murphy gets killed.
Which is never a good idea if you're in a movie.
And that's kind of the only chink in that movie, or weak point. This one, it's a car bomb, because I think he pissed off some gang or some. I haven't seen the movie yet. And like I said, in the new movie, it seems much more that he's badly damaged, so it's more of a guy augmented by a suit, rather than being a more machine. It seems like that one he's more man than he is machine, where this one's he's more machine than man.
His family seems like to play a bigger part in the remake.
Yeah, because there's a line, you got to talk to your son after he's already turned.
Yep.
I don't know. My gut feeling tells me it's not going to be very good. The suit's black. He looks more like Batman, like a Batman kind of.
And it's also coming out in February.
Yeah.
So that kind of shows the studio doesn't even have faith in it.
Really?
Yeah, like January and February seems like where they throw movies when you don't have any faith.
I will go see it. I'll give it a chance, but I don't have high hopes for it. Yeah. Maybe we'll do a review on it when we see it. Anything you going to say?
No?
I think that's it. Thanks for watching.
Yep.
we're gonna have to kill it. Get in the car, for God's sake!
Robocop, the future of law enforcement.